What's up, everybody? It's your boy Joshua Edwards, live from Brooklyn, New York. This is Panthers Pride Television. We all know the first Monday after the NFL regular season is called Black Monday. We know that the Carolina Panthers are not entering into postseason play, so we all know there's going to be some new turnovers across the NFL league. Offensive coordinators are going to be gone. Defensive coordinators are going to be gone. Head coaches are going to lose their jobs. General managers are going to lose their jobs. But the Carolina Panthers just made some recent moves. Burt Watts was our former defensive back coach, and Tim Lukabu was our former inside linebacker coach. Our defense historically is all-time bad. Now, before I get into these numbers, I'm just going to give you guys just a little backstory. We statistically gave up the most points in NFL history. I haven't seen a defense this bad since the first year after Luke Kuechly retired. Our defense was that bad this season, and I got the numbers to prove it. So Burt Watts, like I stated earlier, was a former defensive back coach. His defense, our DBs, our secondary gave up a total of 3,820 total yards, averaging 6.8 yards per pass attempts, 35 passing touchdowns, which is obviously MVP-esque numbers. And Tim Lukabu hasn't been any better. Tim Lukabu has had 3,057 rushing yards given up on him with an average 5.2 yards per pop, 24 total touchdowns, and they both combined for a total of 534 total points. On average, our defense gave up over 5.7 yards per play. We have given up a total of well over 6,900 total yards of offense. It was time, ladies and gentlemen. It was just a matter of time. Our defense is that bad. I do understand we have had some injuries. I understand that we let go of Frankie Louvu. I understand Shaq Thompson is no longer a part of or got hurt during the season. I know Derrick Brown got hurt during the season as well. I'm no fool. But at the end of the day, you got to work with what you got. Like, there have been other coaches that have required and forced their guys in better positions than our two coaches did this past season. It was that bad. Like, last game against the Atlanta Falcons, we had people that were in at linebacker. I'm saying, who the hell is this? I've never seen these people before. Our defense, our secondary is bad. J.C. Horn has played exceptionally well. We all know that he is a Pro Bowl this season. He was really the bright spot of our entire defense. Yes, I understand we lost Brian Burns. Yes, I understand we lost Frankie Louvu, Jeremy Chin. I understand Shaq Thompson's out. But this is unacceptable. Over a total of over 55 total touchdowns. We gave up 59 total touchdowns, 534 points, over 6,900 total yards. Like, this is not going to get in the National Football League. Now, Tim Lukabu was a former defensive coordinator, linebacker coach for a former college. But, guys, like, this is the National Football League. It is a results-based business. If your defense is not producing, if our DBs are not producing, total of 9 interceptions throughout the entire season and a 17-game season where it is a passing league, let's not forget the last 2 weeks we gave up well over 1,000 total yards. The Atlanta Falcons had 38 points on us. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had 48 total points on us. So right there alone, that's over 84 points in the past 2 games. 120 minutes, your defense gives up 84 total points, over 1,000 yards, well over 5 total touchdowns. It's just not going to get it done. Not in today's day and age. It's not going to cut it. I do just want to transition a little bit. So, this past weekend, Abdul Carter played. If you don't know who Abdul Carter is, just stick around. I promise you I got you. What moves should be made on draft day? So, currently, the Carolina Panthers are picking at the 8th spot. The Tennessee Titans are at the number 1 spot. Cleveland Browns is the 2nd spot. Giants 3rd. New England Patriots 4th. Jacksonville Jaguars the 5th. The Jets are the 6th, and the Raiders are the 7th spot. So the first 3 teams need a quarterback or some type of skill position. The Titans, Cleveland, the Giants. Those 3 teams we know are either going quarterback or they're going Travis Hunter to a certain extent. New England, I don't see them getting this guy that I'm about to talk about right now. Now, this guy right here is next level. Abdul Carter is really Micah-esque, Micah Parsons-esque. Like, he is that special defensively. He had 11 total sacks this past season, 63 total tackles, 2 forced fumbles, led the league or led college football in total tackles for losses with 22. And James Pierce Jr., who is obviously his comparable, a guy that kind of they compare him to. 7.5 sacks, 38 total tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 13 tackles for losses. Now, these 2 guys, Abdul Carter has been on a steady ascension since he came into college football. His first year didn't do too much. Second year, you could see him kind of, we might have a guy. But this season, he really showed why he is going to be, he might go number 1 overall. If Tennessee wants to stick with Will Levis, he might be the first overall pick. And James Pierce Jr., a long, slinky guy. The only knock on him, they say, is his body frame. He hasn't filled out his entire body frame. So that could be a knock on James Pierce Jr. But I think that the Carolina Panthers got to make a move on one of these guys. If we don't go there, I got another guy that I'm going to talk about in a split second. But those are my 2 guys right here. Abdul Carter, if he somehow falls to the 8th spot, which I don't think he'll get past Jacksonville, or James Pierce Jr., if he somehow manages to fall to the 8th spot, we got to take a shot on him. Our defense was bad. And not to mention, man, we got 8 picks in the first 5 rounds. We all know we have the 8th overall pick. And then the next pick that we have is the 54th overall pick. So I think the Carolina Panthers should mortgage their 2 4th-rounders, move up into the 3rd, or move up into the high 2nd with those 2 4th-rounders and go get a Jack Sawyer, a James Pierce Jr., Will Johnson, who is this guy right here. Another special talent, a secondary assurance. Will Johnson, the Michigan quarterback, who could be a cross on the other side with J.C. Horn. He had 2 interceptions this total year, 14 total tackles, 1 tackles for loss, 3 passes defended, and those 2 picks went for pick sixes. Now, the thing on Will Johnson, he didn't play this entire season. But when he played during their championship run, Will Johnson was special. There's no mistaking. With him across J.C. Horn, we are going to lock down teams number 1, especially in the NFC South, where there's a Mike Evans, where there's a Drake London who would off against us, where there's a Chris Olave. We need guys that are going to go out here, cover, tackle, and really play ball and hang their hats defensively. So, like I said, man, Will Johnson is a guy that I look forward to, or it could be Abdul Carter or James Pierce Jr. These are my 3 guys for us to look out for in the draft. And obviously, we all know Mason Graham, also from Michigan, could be another guy that we could see us take in the 8th spot. But Will Johnson, Abdul Carter, James Pierce Jr. to go and play, these 2 guys to play alongside Derek Brown is going to wreak havoc on quarterbacks for at least the next couple decades. So, Panthers on the Hard Knocks. Yes, there has been reports that HBO Sports is thinking about taking on the Carolina Panthers for Hard Knocks. Would I love it? Absolutely. Absolutely. From what we saw from Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears this past offseason, and then HBO going into the NFC North, talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers. I think if we get one of those with Bryce Young, former number 1 overall pick, Heisman Trophy winner, Xavier Legette, Dave Canales, Dan Morgan, who was a former Panther great, If we get HBO Sports, I think people are going to have a whole different impression on the Carolina Panthers moving forward into the entire season, man. Bryce Young can make every throw. We know what he has really turned and transformed himself into. And especially if we go out here and get one of those guys I just talked about in my last slide, Abdul Carter, James Pierce Jr., or Will Johnson, I think the Carolina Panthers would be an excellent choice for HBO Hard Knocks.